In my presentation on the development of technology of small-scale biomass combustion, I give a short overview of the development in the last 10 or 15 years, where you see that technology has significantly improved under standardized testing conditions. So emissions have decreased by a factor of 100 or even 1,000, and efficiency has increased significantly. So if you ask me today if there is a potential for further improvement, I would say no under standardized testing conditions, because we have already complete combustion also in small scale. When we go to the real life, to the field, we see different performances with very good appliances, but also appliances that have higher emissions in the field, and the question is why. And we look into the operation in the field, that we see that there is not only constant load conditions, but also startup phases and stop phases. And when we investigate those phases, we found out that starting and stopping, for instance, for boilers, has significantly higher emissions. So depending on how these appliances are operated in the field, how many starts and stops occur in the field, the real-life emissions might be higher than the one on the test stand. So one of the most important things in the future will be to improve the situation in the field is to focus the development of appliances on realistic operation in the field. So if you do that, if you install your appliance properly, if you maybe connect the appliance with a buffer storage tank, if you have advanced control systems, you avoid many starts and stops, and you're able to have really low emissions of particles, and also this benzoepyrene, which is an organic compound limited in ambient air. And if you compare the performance that we see now for modern boilers and stoves in real life and compare it to the existing stock, we found out that the difference between emissions of new appliances compared to the existing stocks is a factor of 10 to 1,000. So the most important measure to improve situation in the field as a first attempt is just change out old appliances to modern appliances. And the second attempt that we propose is to focus in development and testing of new appliances on real-life operation, and therefore we would need new methods, testing methods for new appliances that focus on real-life operation. The BeReal project was a huge European research project where industry partners and scientific partners came together and worked together to develop new testing methods for pellet stoves and firewood stoves. Testing methods that better reflect the real-life operation of these kind of appliances. And the idea is, if I'm testing the stoves under realistic conditions, the stoves will be developed for real-life use and will be optimized for real-life use. What we did in the project is first look on the market and see how the appliances are operated in real life in the field. We did a European-wide questionnaire, we did field measurements. Then we defined how the methods for pellet stoves and firewood stoves should look like. For instance, for firewood stoves, we start our measurement procedure before we start even the fire. So we are measuring from the very beginning, from the first ignition of the fire until the stove has cooled down. All that is measured and assessed during our BeReal test, which is a major difference to the existing standards. In the existing methods that are used, only one batch of fire, when the stove is hot, is tested and used for the limit calculation. In BeReal methods, the whole journey of a stove during a combustion, starting from the ignition until the cooling down, is tested and assessed for the final result. The same for the pellet stoves. We also include the starting phase, the stopping, the change of the load in the pellet stoves for our final result. Additionally, when we have developed the methods, we took a look into the field. So we compared if the method that we apply in the lab, the so-called BeReal methods, give results that are similar to the real-life results. So we took the same appliances that we tested for BeReal in the lab to the field and let the users operate their appliances in the field. And what we found out is that the results are very similar compared to the lab results with BeReal and the field results tested outside directly in the household. So our final result in BeReal was, yes, it is possible. We developed methods that test appliances under laboratory conditions, but in a realistic way, so that manufacturers in the future would be forced to develop products that are good for real-life use. And that should support the development of future technologies towards an optimization for real-life operation.